Well, good day. Welcome to Drive Time for Today. I've been asked by a bunch of people recently, and interestingly, it wasn't just younger people. You'd think that when the question of how to think rich and therefore become rich would be something I'd be asked by a lot of younger people, but it wasn't. It's actually something I've been asked by more people in their mid-40s, which is kind of weird. If you haven't learned money by mid-40s, you better start studying your butt off. You better start reading everything. I can understand that if you're in your 20s and you're wanting to study money and get a handle on it, but in your 40s, you better study everything. Read every book, study my wealth programs, do whatever. But let's take a look at what actually has to happen, or mindset-wise. How do you think rich and therefore become rich? So let's look at 4 key principles on that today. So let's think this through for a second. You want to look at how people think rich, okay? First thing people that think rich do is they think of investing before buying. They think of, if you're going shopping, you're going shopping for real estate. If you're going shopping, you're going shopping for shares. You know, there is that first thought is to invest a percentage of your money. Now, people always ask me, well, what percentage of your money should you invest? Well, you know, if you read The Richest Man in Babylon, you read some of those early works, they would always suggest tithing 10%, in other words, charitable 10%, investing 10%, and saving 10% of your earnings, right? So you can look at it from that perspective where you take 10% and put 10% away. I think that putting 10% away is okay, but I think ultimately we should be looking at 50%. So 10% tithing, 10% savings, and 30% to investments. Now, a lot of people say to me, but Brad, I can't live off of 50% of what I make. Well, then make more. You know, learn how to make more. Well, this job doesn't pay anymore. Well, get a different job. Well, I'm not qualified for a different job. Well, do you know what I'm saying, right? If you want to make more, you will make more because you'll study it. You'll learn it. Well, I'm no good at sales. Great. Learn sales. Become great at sales. I'm no good at marketing. Great. Study marketing. If you want to get my marketing webinar, type marketing below. I'll get you the link for my upcoming marketing webinar. You know, when it comes down to it, the rich people think of investing first. There is a percentage of their income that has to go to investing first. And they're at such a level of thinking of it that it automatically happens. It just goes straight out of their paycheck, no matter what, straight out of their business bank account, no matter what. You know, that's basically what happens when you're in that phase of wealth creation. Okay, second thing that is the mindset of the rich is you have to study money, okay? You cannot just, you know, there's no just, oh, I got it. No, you have to study money. You have to study real estate investing. You have to study business. You have to study stock market investing. When new things come out like NFTs, etc., you've got to study this stuff. Now, if you want to invest in NFTs, great, but study it, okay? If you want to invest in Bitcoin, great, but study it. These are the things that everyone has to do. If you want to, now ultimately the 3 main core investment assets that you have to become good at that are going to be around forever: business, real estate, stock market, okay? Those 3 things. Become good or great at all 3 of those, because that's what we do. We study money. We don't just assume we know about it, okay? If you don't control money, money will control you. It's not complex, okay? So firstly, the rich think investing first. Second, they understand you have to study money, all right? There's 2 very simple philosophies. Third major philosophy we want to focus in on if we want to get to be wealthy, okay? And that is return of investment and return on investment. So the old saying, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is, really comes down to, if you don't know what you're talking about, then you shouldn't invest in that category. You know, for me, I always look at it as this. First of all, I want return of investment. So I want to actually get my principal or my capital back. That's my first thing that I want to do. All right. Most important is to get my capital back. And when you don't, you know, that's number 1 priority. So investing in something you don't understand does not make sense. If you don't understand it, do not invest in it. Knowledge is the first level of investment. And so that's why point 2 was studying stuff. I see people who go into business, they've never ever once studied business. If you want to study business, do my 30X program. If you want to know what that's all about, type 30X below and I'll get you the link to 30X, all right? Or my team will, of course. I won't be doing it, but my team will get you the link to 30X. So 30X wealth or 30X business or even the 30X life principles, either one, or do 90X, do all 3 and 90X your life. But my point is that if I am going to be an investor, I want my money back first, okay? That's number 1 principle. Number 2 principle is going to be, how do I actually get a high level of return on my investment? So ROI is return of and return on investment. Of investment is a priority. On investment is the second priority. 4th strategy or 4th thing that rich people think about in order to create serious wealth is a thing called leverage. Now, if you've never studied leverage with me before, let's give you the crash course, all right? Leverage is, the mathematical formula is divide to multiply. Break something down and fix each part, build it up, all right? Originally, H.J. Heinz created the production line, and obviously Ford used the production line and all that stuff. It was a very simple example. Franchising, Ray Kroc used it. He broke McDonald's up, divided it into franchises, and then multiplied the end result. Ultimately, leverage, though, the way I teach it is do the work once, get paid forever, okay? So when we're thinking wealth, what we're actually thinking, the way we think, is how do I do something today that will pay me back forever? Not just one time, not go to work and do work and get paid. No, how do I do something that will pay me back forever? So, for example, for me, I'd write a book. The book then sells forever, okay? I will buy a piece of real estate. I buy that house. Someone else pays off the mortgage for me. They're called a tenant. They pay my mortgage. Over 20 years, the mortgage is paid off. But I do the work once. I buy the house once. I collect rent and capital gain forever. I build a business that works so I don't have to. I build a business. It works. It makes me money forever. You know, the whole aim of these things is to do work one time that pays you back forever, because that breeds what's called passive income. The passive income is what means you can never ever have to work again. This, my friends, is the simplest way we need to think about wealth. You know, I ultimately, when I look back and I think of some of the real estate I purchased when I was 19 and 20. Now think of this. I'm 50 today. Stuff I bought when I was 19 and 20 still making me money today. My first book I ever wrote, Instant Cash Flow, still making me money today. My first companies that paid me out, that built to the next company. I've built ActionCOACH for 28 years now. ActionCOACH, the biggest business coaching company in the world. And that's going to pay me back for the rest of my life. It'll pay for my kids' life well after I'm gone. So the work I did way back then is still paying for my life today. So the idea of do the work once, get paid forever is the core principle behind wealth of the way we do it. So if you are aiming to build wealth, if you're aiming to build serious wealth, you have to study these core principles. By the way, another rule of drive time is you type in your biggest lesson, okay? That's the rule. So type it in right now. What is your biggest lesson on this drive, so that we can understand what it is that you're learning and we can get a great list of principles below. So back over the 4 core principles of wealth. What are they? Think about it for a second. Every time you understand how the rich think, the wealthy think, and by the way, what's the difference between rich and wealthy? Rich has money, wealthy has money and the time to use it, okay? Big distinction between the two places there. So, do the work once, get paid forever. That's what we're aiming to achieve. That's what we're aiming to do. This is Drive Time. I hope you enjoyed it. Looking forward to coming back to you again the next day or two. Bye for now. Biggest lesson, type it in.